Hello, everybody. Do we have some elevator music?
Not yet, but we should we should have something like lounge music or Hydra radio or snack radio.
Hello, guys. Sorry if I can speak, but I can't hear anyone. Give me 1 second. Apologies for my technical difficulty.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, the radio would help. He would know that he can hear. We need a DJ for this.
And other issues. So yeah, thanks for coming, and maybe we can start briefly. We will go through mostly through the snack cases, but also there are three important items within Hydra governance which need to be resolved, and they are kinda nuanced, and it's better to talk. It's better to discuss them in real time rather than async. So yeah, let's start.
Hello. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you guys, but I'm back now. Sorry. How are you guys? I haven't actually spoke to you. So how are you? You're now officially a parachained. How does it feel? Any different?
It's no actually it's no difference. It's just worse actually. The, that's just the work and everything and responsibility is just starting. Like until now, the snack was fun, but right now that's a serious thing, right?
Yeah.
All the
Slightly less.
why all these 222,000 of KSM are waiting to be utilized seriously and useful. So
Man,
yeah,
that's 80 million worth. That's that's the second most. That's a decent achievement now.
yeah, it's kind of like deja vu from the HDX LBP when we were not expecting such number, and it happened, and it happens also right now. I was also speaking to some like bigger holders of KSM who were like, "Oh, I was supporting, I was supporting other teams who needed much more than you." So I feel good. I feel good. That's not just like five addresses like some other parachains. So that's
Oh,
the good part. But now that things are happening and uh, we realize that some parts within the ecosystem are uh, like connected like via some like duct tapes, and that's what we want to share with you, and we don't want to decide what's the best for a snack and Hydra by just ourselves, like be these kind of like benevolent dictators as you can see in every other project, but really kickstart the proper governance and gather community voice and do what's the best for the project. uh,
Yeah,
by
no, that's cool.
yeah,
And
just
it's
not just like what we think. We could have like a strong tunnel vision, so we can't see also some things. So it's better to have. It's always better to have a feedback.
yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. And from listening to the Lisbon stuff, it sounds like you guys have been. I mean, you can see how busy you guys have been just from watching the Lisbon videos. So that was a cool update. But I guess the first question that's been asked many times is when LBP.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's. Do you want to take it or? That's one thing that we want to discuss. So there are a few issues that needed to be resolved before we could launch LBP. The first and probably most important one is the tokens with which we would launch the LBP. So we certainly need some stablecoin in the pool or in the protocol to be able to get prices and to actually price some to price the token itself, but to actually price some interactions in the chain about these stablecoin prices. For example, transaction fees. Like we don't think they should be priced on something that is moving wildly, because it would end up like Ether or Kusama. They always need to change how much stuff costs. So we need stablecoin, and then there is like the Kara dollar, but there is not a lot of it right now, and there are no incentives currently for minting it, and it's also a little bit risky to mint it because you are basically locking your other collateral, and then you need to pay attention what happens. So so we are thinking to not do it with just Kara dollars. We were thinking actually about using some Ether, some DAI or USDC from Moonbeam Bridge, but they will not be able to do cross-chain transactions until a few weeks, so like from now. So that will take some time, but we agreed to do the Kara dollars, and I think we can do it still, but we will also do Kusama, because also Kusama is important in the ecosystem. So we are thinking about doing two pools instead of one. And this is the first thing that we wanted to discuss, and was the first problem that we needed to solve. Then there are the channels, which are right now unexpectedly expensive because the price of Kusama rose so much over a short period of time, and the cost of opening channels was set up before, before this price hike. And in testnets, it's not that high, so nobody expected it to be. Actually, everybody was quite surprised when when they were going to open the channel and saw the price for it. So what we would need to do is lock for a duration of the for the XCM, basically messaging slot, with each chain to log 120 Kusama, or 130 almost, which is quite a lot of money to have just locked doing nothing, especially after people locked so much value into the crowd loan. So we are creating a proposal for Kusama Council to lower this bond, because it's really, we don't think it's necessary, but we are still finding some benchmarking. We are still doing some benchmarking to see if it's really safe to lower it as much, but I think it is. But this will take some time to be enacted through Kusama Council motion. So this is one thing. I mean, we could, this is not a blocker. We could land some Kusama open slot, and then once it's lowered, we could return it and then open it again for cheaper. But it's still like unexpected slowdown.
Yeah, it's
And then
unreasonable high. Like and also when we were doing research and asking folks from Parity and elsewhere, Web3 Foundation, we were getting like kind of like confusing feedbacks from them. So there was like opposite arguments, like if it should be like zero or if it should be like that high, how is right now. But it's definitely bad UX for the project teams, because when we, for example, open the channel with, I don't know, with Bifrost or Karuda, they need to like pull out of their pocket the same amount, and the amount is really pretty high. But there is at least there is ecosystem consensus between parachains and also with Parity and other, that this should be decreased as much as possible. But as Jakub mentioned, the benchmarking is needed to, for example, prevent some situation that someone would be DDoSing the whole ecosystem because of like unreasonable cheap channels and interactions there.
so proposal will be up, I think, I hope Wednesday next week, because we need some review from also Party guys. But there was also the two other things. One was pending audit, which has been now finished, but we still need to do some changes to the code and do review. So it will take at least a week to have really, like, we don't want to run unaudited code, even if it's Kusama and expecting chaos. We want to minimize it. So yeah, that was also some blocker, and the UIs are getting together. So maybe, yeah, this is about the discussion with the community. Like, what do you want? When do you want it? Like, if you want it really fast, we could do it, but I wouldn't be very happy with it. But yeah, so we could launch it sooner by a week or so. But I don't think personally it's worth it. So
I was just gonna say, so you say that, like, you, like, realistically, if we all begged you, you would theoretically be ready in a week, but like, what are the downsides to doing it that quickly? Like, what makes you say that you wouldn't want to do it that quickly? Sorry, just to understand, like, what the risks are of trying to do it within a week? Like, what would you hope would be different if we did it in 3 weeks instead?
I think it's not gonna be that much difference. That's realistic timeline. It's 1 to 3 weeks is very realistic. So
Actually, it will be quite big because all the findings from audits will be placed and or adjusted or implemented. Then cost for opening channels will be much lower, and it has to go through the Kusama Council. And we can also launch simultaneously after LBP the other pools. So I think there is no real benefit to rush LBP as soon as possible, but really finish this thing and, for example, organize some community testing week prior to that. And I think to let as many eyes and hands to test pools and LBPs and see if it's really working as expected, not just by internal testing. And yeah, I would propose this. Like,
I mean,
I
that sounds fair enough.
people are hungry, but sorry.
No, sorry, I was just saying, I mean, that sounds fair enough. Like, it sounds pretty hard to argue against that, to be honest.
Yeah, because there is really no clear benefit to like super rush it. It will just makes times for it will just make things for everybody harder. Like, for example, just imagine that, for example, we will be rushing LBP for the like 1 week after this call. Then we need to run to Karura or other folks that, oh guys, like prepare 67 KSM for the channel, and they they're like, I hope they will be open to do it, but they don't need to in like few weeks. And also, yeah, the stablecoin liquidity was a little bit concerning us when we were preparing like this blog, which actually went out later than it was supposed, but we were also speaking on some conferences and stuff. Yeah, when we were like putting it together, I like double checked the Karura dollar, and I realized that, oh wow, there is just 11 million of it, while 8 million and something is in pool, and KSM was quite different prices on another exchanges. So, and also if you want to get KSM, like you can buy KSM from the pool, but then as these pools are not super liquid yet, then it means that you will get like higher slippage, not on the small transactions obviously, but on the something bigger for sure. And also, yeah, you can buy KSM or Carrera dollar, or you can mint it for yourself. When you are minting, it's quite similar to MakerDAO process, so you are over collateralizing it. But also, we would like to see like also bigger support from their side, because we are basically creating a use case for them, or we are creating for them place where their stablecoin is utilized. So I think it would be fair if they would add some incentives for minting Karura dollar as well. But I think this should run also from the community. So it would be great if someone from you will put together proposal and paste it in Karura governance forum that, hey guys, like Snag needs Karura dollars, but it's not super liquid yet, and it's novel, and there is also some risk related to it. Please put some incentives together. There will be obviously liquidity mining right after LBP, so people can enjoy basically doubled incentives from Karura and from us, and then it will be much easier for us and for you and for anyone use it. Otherwise, we will need to like limit it a lot. Then, as Jakub mentioned, the Moon River case. Then, as we were not super happy about Carua dollar, then we check Moon River, which is currently like operating pretty nicely, and there is quite big TVL. Everything is nice. There is also bridged a lot of other Ethereum stablecoins, and and then we then we realized that, oh, but they don't have XCM, so they can really port. We can really port stablecoins from ETH via them to Snack. But also that was other option, and I don't know, like maybe we can chase Moonriver developer like to implement XCM sooner, but I don't think it's possible and reasonable, because they just added it to their testnet, and they will need actually more time for testing, I think, and see if everything is safe and okay, etc. So yeah, but also if maybe we were also curious if, for example, if supporting of Karuna dollar and using it is really necessary for you, or you are craving for it, or you want to do it, and like what if there will be bigger community voice like screw the Karura dollar and use the Ethereum stablecoins. But I would like to prefer to support ecosystem native projects, which is obviously Karura dollar and whole Karura platform, and also ignite a little bit more liquidity on both sides, which will create the arbitrage opportunities, and it will also help to test Kusama a little bit, as there will be much more transaction shooting between us and them, and then later other folks. Like, so do you have anyone any feedback on it? Sorry
I
for
mean,
the longer intro, but it is what it is. It's a little bit more complicated and nuanced, and everything is so early. So that's why does it look like.
but no, you make a good point because, like you say, with the incentives on KUSD, I think the spread on KUSD is like 10-15% right now, right? So um, it's you can tell the liquidity is just. And is that why you guys were talking about having the two LVP pools, the KUSD and the KSM? Was that to try and have a solution to the lack of liquidity on it, or?
Exactly. The KSM is like much more beta testing and much more liquid asset, and also it can ignite interesting. It can also increase fees because there will be some like arbitrage opportunities during the LBP, when, for example, there will be a little bit different price of BSX if you will calculate it through the KSM or in the KSM pool in like dollar terms, and opposite. So which could be nice. So people who likes to do arbitrage trading on it or elsewhere, they can also prepare their own bots and try it here with very cheap transaction fees, right?
Yeah, no, that's cool, and that's the problem with Karura, right? There's just nowhere else you can trade KUSD for that spread to close, right? So, no, I think you make a good point, and yeah, maybe as a community we can go to Karura because it seems in everybody's incentives to try and do it with KUSD. So it'd be a shame not to be able to use it, like especially if it's because of liquidity. Like that should surely be like a priority for them to boost as well. So.
Like we can like nudge them and push them, but I think much stronger case for them would be if it really come up with our community, that there is like community voice to use it, because there is, I don't know the exact numbers, but there is for sure some like overlap between their community and ours. So I think it's in their interest as well to support other projects who wants to use their products.
No, definitely. And I suppose even, if we could suggest they could have incentives in the liquidity pools after, right? Then this seems like a win-win for everybody. But which actually leads to another question on the idea of doing the two liquidity pools. Like, is there an oracle? Like, that was one of the questions from the community. Is there like an oracle that's keeping those two in check, or like how does it actually work in a bit more detail, having two pools running alongside each other, or will it just be down to people to arb the value out? Or
Yeah, exactly. It will be about people arbing out. And the thing with the spread that you said, that I think this will partially solve the problem, because right now you don't have any other place to trade the Cara dollars. And right, if you have it in Basilisk, then you have at least one more place where you can just rotate and keep the price in check with the other asset. And it will start to get better as the ecosystem grows and it has more use cases. So I think we will help them with that. And the question to the point, yes, I like when you see when you see opportunity to take profit, I think people will take it, and it was the case before, and I think it will be the case in the future. No, there is no oracle actually, so it will be all the people arbing it.
oh, that's cool. And how do you guys like what incentives do you guys think like could be put in a proposal to increase the liquidity for KUSD? Like, obviously we need it to use on Basilisk, and obviously for them they would need more liquidity, but like from your guys' view, what would you suggest to actually help achieve that for them? Just better rewards, or
Everything everything more than current zero would be good. I don't know. It's up to them. I don't know how much of I'm currently not sure, or I'm not familiar with their like tokenomics or their like token reserves for such initiatives. But it doesn't have to be like some crazy 5,000 APY. It can be like something more reasonable, and they can run it for, I don't know, for a month or two, and they will see like what's a good approach with liquidity mining. From my point of view is like doing like short term initiatives, and see what is working and what is not working, especially if you have like more products and stuff.
Yeah, well, that could be interesting. And not to jump back to another question and to pin you down on a date, but it sounds like you guys sort of are saying that if you take the time that you want to like finish things off and iron things out, like you're sort of saying that the LBP in that case would be 3 to 4 weeks. Is that right? Just to be clear on that.
Yes, uh, I think I think 3 weeks is very reasonable time to be like we can
Okay.
definitely make it in that time.
It
We
also
can,
it also
yeah.
depends if we wants to do the community testing before LBP with also other pools and stuff.
No, and just literally just the question that came in on the pairs was obviously soon we might have the state mine pairs active on Kusama. So if let's say for example USDT was available, would that solve the issue of having a stable coin that we can use? Like for example, say that was available in the next week or two.
Hmm. This is a good
It would.
question. Like I was never, like me personally, I was never a huge fan of Tether, obviously, but there are people okay-ish with it. I'm also like currently it's maybe too big to fail. Or maybe this is not what I should tell. I don't know. Like if there will be like very strong community voice that screw other options, go for USDT from state mine, like we will implement it maybe maybe for sure. So yeah, but I don't know what would be the liquidity of like Kusama Tether. It will be also. I I don't think that the Tether company or company behind Tether that they will be adding some incentives for Kusama ecosystem. So maybe that could be like kind of similar issue that it will take time until Tether Kusama native Tether liquidity will increase somehow significantly.
Yeah, no, fair point. And I guess if you guys are saying 3-4 weeks is a fair timeline for the LBP, I guess that still gives some time to reach out to Karura and see if they can help. And then I guess worst case, there's always going to be the two pools anyway to solve that. So no, that sounds cool. And thanks for clarifying that part. The next question up on here was obviously the next biggest change that we've seen is on the vesting schedule, and it's quite a big one. To go to I think 30% right on launch of the crowd loan rewards. Most of the questions are just curious about the reasoning behind that, and yeah, what was the aim with changing the vesting schedule?
There wasn't much thinking behind it, or there is no like hidden intention or something. No, we just saw that it's standard with other parachain teams. Like mostly everyone has the similar vesting schedule, so why to be different? Like again, like if community want to change smaller or like smaller unlock initially, that's what we can go through it. But on the other hand, we also realize that for like for being able to like have enough tokens for fees and governance and all other functionality, then maybe it would be better if people can have something with which they work. Also, they can like then immediately more contribute to liquidity mining. So I don't know why is it such a problem, but again,
So
like if someone came with like a reasonable proposal to change it to something lower, that's also a fair point.
So the main reasoning was like when there are like smaller uh, participants in the crowd loan, and you have completely linear vesting, then maybe those smaller ones wouldn't be able to do anything with the chain, like anything. Like they wouldn't be able to trade very much. They wouldn't be able to interact with the governance very much. Like you need some tokens to do this stuff. Some of them are more expensive because they require bonds. So what we wanted to do is to start with something, and people will be able to use the protocol as soon as it launches, not over, not wait for weeks to be able to do everything. That was one more reasoning behind it.
No, I guess that makes sense. And like, I'm going to assume that there's no paper hands in Basilisk that want to sell straight away anyway. So yeah, I guess it helps liquidity from day one. And oh, we have Dao King up on the stage to ask a question. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello,
hello.
hey guys. Yeah, I had brought this up to Jacob over like Twitter, but I was thinking about this when you guys made the announcement about the LBP and the 30% that would be opened up front, and I was thinking about like tax purposes and also about like the needing to sell if if we were able to claim the tokens after the LBP would be like indicating the value of the tokens. And so this is a little slightly concerning to me because if we were able to claim the BSX tokens prior to the LBP, then the value of the tokens would be unknown or it would be zero. So it would be claiming assets at essentially zero value if we did it before the LBP. But if there's a liquid market that's indicating the price or value of the tokens, and we
Yes.
claimed the tokens afterwards, then this would create like a different taxable event, meaning that people would need to actually be forced to sell some to cover their tax expenses for receiving the tokens at the value of the LBP.
Yes, I think you're right. So I think we should think about this, and I don't know exactly like how you uh, if it, so for example, do you know the nuances of it? So if you get tokens into your wallet, but they are still locked, is this already a taxable event, or is it only after you are able to unlock it?
So I'm not sure, and I've seen and I've looked at like for example Moonriver, because there was a delay and they were doing like their sort of linear vesting. The way that I've looked at it is if it's not in your control, so like you said, oh, it's in your wallet. I'm not sure. So different people would probably tell you different things depending on how conservative your tax accountant would be. But I would imagine that if you don't have control of the said assets, then it's not yours to be sold, right? But if you claim the asset, like literally click the button, now they're in my wallet, now I can move them around, then that would be you'd be capable of selling them. So I think that there is a difference between I have an asset that I can move around and do whatever I want with, um, and then just having him in my wallet for later. So I would take the position that if I can claim them and move them around, then they would be mine in my possession at that point. And that's what I'm kind of making this difference between before the LBP. There is no, we don't know the value of the token. There's no way for anybody to argue, ah, yes. Mhm.
So the problem with that, like giving people access to tokens before, is only the problem is that we would not like we couldn't then allow selling in the LVP, which would skew the price discovery, uh, because people would be not able to speculate and trade back and forth. Because if we allow that, then people will be able to sell at the discount, and this is a big problem. So LBPs, if you do LBP, you shouldn't have any circulating supply. Otherwise, it can go very wrongly.
There,
So
the other reason was also to prevent centralized exchanges listing, which would basically create the price discovery there, and not at Snack.
so this is yes, I understand the problem, but this probably caters to some longer discussion, maybe with lawyers also, which we can for sure do. So I would propose for please write some proposal or something, maybe just description of the problem. We can send it to some lawyers that will have a look at it, or maybe if somebody else knows, they will answer it.
But I think this is
So what?
very
What?
specific to a legal jurisdiction where is
Yes.
problem
Yes.
participant living.
Yeah. So what we can do, I think, what is plausible is to get the tokens to the wallets before LBP. But have it locked. But I'm not sure if that helps. So so it needs longer discussion for sure. I don't think we can solve it right now, but we'll think about it. And yes, these are the things that probably this might not delay anything, but it's maybe better if we do it in 3 weeks because of these things.
Yeah, that's all great answers. And like you said, just getting it to the wallet, I think beforehand is also great, or at least helps some people. And then another actual question about the logistics of using KUSD. Um, would we need to move KUSD over to like using teleport or something? Would we need to move that over to the Basilisk chain? Like, what are the logistics behind if we do solve that problem and we are getting KUSD and you are going to do the secondary pool or the other pool? What are the logistics on that?
Yes, so you would need to do cross-chain transfer of KUSD to our chain. We were thinking about doing a flow where you can do it through our UI, but I'm not sure if we can finish that on time. If we can, I think the UX will be nice. If not, then people will need to use Karma also natively and learn about how to mint KUSD and how to transfer it. Transferring itself is not that hard, and actually you don't teleport right now. The only way to transfer tokens right now is through some like through state mine, basically state mine backed transfer. So you say to state mine that you are transferring this token from Kara to Basilisk, and it will account for that, and Basilisk will then know from state mine that it received that tokens. So it's little bit more safe in that sense that no value can get lost during these transfers.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty, like you say, it's pretty easy to use on the Karura app, right? So I guess that's another reason we can put it in a proposal to them, right? Because like you say, if just using KUSD in the pool is like it brings a lot of attention to them and brings a lot of users that have to figure out how to transfer it and mint it. So it seems like that's everybody's interests are aligned on that. But the next question was really on the pools, and I think you guys may have touched this earlier with the timeline, but realistically, how soon after the LBP would the trade-in pools be live?
We would want it to be ASAP, possibly like as soon as the LBP ends. It could transfer to AMM. I'm not sure if we want to do that on the first try. But it's possibility to do this. I'm actually right now working on a code to do that, but yeah, it's all about like managing risk and having good night's sleep. So if we do it with pauses, analyze everything, I think it would feel more secure because, or like we would be more in control. I don't know what's the general consensus about this, but yeah, it takes just slightly more effort to just transition to AMM pools. If we can do it, I would be and do it in a way that that we feel good about. I think we'll do it. So as soon as possible after.
Also, for this reason, would be better to give us a little bit more time and have enough time for community testing prior to launch of everything.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and it's great to hear that like 3 or 4 weeks is still realistic. Because I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not that long. But a few of the questions are also just curious, like, is there going to be like you're obviously clarifying quite a bit now, but is there going to be like an official roadmap update for Basilisk and Hydra, or is it just going to be like come to the call and then the updates will be there?
The roadmaps are very hard thing to do in this space because there is so many things that change and are not in our control that we don't really want to have hard roadmap with dates. But we have a roadmap where you see how features will come one after another. But I'm like, it's quite impossible to say, hey, this will be done exactly in a month and this will be done exactly in 2 months, because there is so many moving pieces that if you promise something that it will be like we said in some article, I think that LBP will be in 1.5 week, which was not really. I was not really happy about it. So I think it's better to have a vision than to have strict roadmap. We have for sure internally we have dates that we want to finish stuff, but we don't want to overpromise and then people will wait for a month and ask every day when it's ready.
The LBP communication, the previous LBP communication was basically genuine and honest. There was obviously no intention. Like we would be happy if LBP was running right now or sooner, but that's what we mentioned during the intro, right? We find these like ecosystem obstacles, and it's better to solve them than go through them.
Yeah, I mean that's fair enough, especially like the first parachains are still getting to grips with it too, right? So it's hopefully nobody's trying to criticize the snake about that. But that goes to the second point of like the NFTs. Like, do you guys have in mind? Obviously, we need to get the LBP out of the way first, but do you guys have that stuff done and it's just sort of waiting for everything else, or has the timeline for the NFT side of Basilisk changed too? Or?
NFTs are being developed at the same time with different speed. So they have kind of their own timeline. There are still some things that needs to be polished, but so first we need do so maybe we need to do first claims, we don't know yet, or maybe just transfer to wallets, then LBP vesting, or maybe in the original original way we wanted to do it, but we'll discuss this after the call. Then we start liquidity, AMM pools, then we start liquidity mining programs, and then there are NFTs. So this timeline still stands, and it will depend on all the other pieces before it when that lands, but I think it's moving pretty nicely. So that one, I'm not expecting some huge delays. The functionality will be like added slowly, but with like I don't know, like for example, the royalties might be added later, or some different functionality, but we are working on it, and it looks good.
Which actually I should have probably asked first, but a few people have asked what actually are we going to see on the NFTs? Because I know there was a few things mentioned in the previous articles and posts, and the previous call it was mentioned, but like what's the first things we're actually going to see with NFTs on Basilisk? Like if you could just touch on that.
Most probably smart boy pants and hoodies.
That's the next question, man. You read my mind.
That's no, because they are like they are almost finished. They are almost finished. The the big chunk of NFTs who are just coming, there needs to like more work from illustrators and like finish the conceptualization of like how many heads they will have and which subjects, which parts will and how will be rarity derived and stuff. But they will be fun.
Yeah,
And
I mean, and to be fair, the question was a bit more general, like with the smart boy NFTs and stuff. Like, what is that actually going to be? Is that going to be like a pricing curve type NFT marketplace on Basilisk, or like what is the actual like product? You know, going to like what is it actually that you're going to launch on Basilisk?
It was supposed to be a little bit similar to Unisocks.
Yes, but we like. What do you think is the best way to launch this type of NFTs? We had a look at a lot of launching platforms, different ways to do it, but yeah, I think there could be some community voice that could steer this effort. We were thinking about the Uniswap like pool, but
That would be the easiest one.
And that would just live on the Basilisk UI, I guess, and you'd be able to trade it and claim it through that, and it would be based off of the RMRK standard, I guess. Is that like they'd be minted on there, or
on which standard?
on Singular, like the the RMRK?
No. So we have we don't use the remark. We use the native implementation of NFTs, the Unix palette, basically from Gavin. But we have some on top of it, some special logic to have, for example, royalties or offers or different use cases for art NFTs. And we also want to use NFTs for different financial maybe use cases, like constructing liquidity mining position into an NFT. So we use our own native implementation for this. We don't use the other apps, but we are working with Coda. They have UI for marketplace, and hopefully they will able to do this part for us. Maybe with some help from us.
No, that sounds awesome. That sounds very cool. And then the next point was
we have one.
Speaking of the man himself.
Yeah, so it's really nice to meet you. Actually, I'm somewhere in the restaurant listening to this email as well. So yeah, and I would like to add that we're actually working with the Basilisk to like bring the unique the palette on the working out there, like right away from the Corridor. And yeah, we're working like to add, like the functionality, like the makeover and the royalties. There's probably like opening features there. And yeah, probably the Jacob can like say more about it when actually will be done, or where actually we can start community testing.
Yeah, nice that you dropped in. Nice to meet you again. For a long time we didn't hear each other. So, if you don't know, this guy is behind Codadot. So we have the man himself here.
To be fair, I've been spending way too much time on Codadot after the recent update, where you can look at all the collections. It's already addicting, but one of the oh, sorry.
Yeah, we actually right now we released the series insight, and we're actually just working with the numbers, like the put it right. And we actually were thinking like recently with some other teams out there that would like to bring some the more granular the statistics for the collectors. So actually something like not just the floor price, but something like the 25th bottom quartile, or something like the box plot, such that more people get insights on the collection and then distribution. And best of it, we're actually thinking like bringing something like the time at score. So actually imagine something like when how much time actually elapsed from the minting to listing and listing to the buy event. And they would like to the similar stuff we would like to bring to the Basilisk as well, if possible. So actually more people like get better market insights and market dynamics of the NFTs on the Basilisk as well.
No, that sounds very cool. That sounds. And to be fair, one of the other questions was will the NFT features on Basilisk, will they like remain like like something decided and driven by the team, or will anybody be able to come and be a degen with redeemable NFTs and stuff, or is that like just going to be a team like driven thing for stuff like the Smart Boy hoodies and
Um,
The smart boy
there is,
hoodie and
yeah.
everything, it's just like showcase from us like what is possible to do. We would like to more like provide just infrastructure for other projects. Like for example, there are NFT related projects with own utility or governance token which they can launch on Snack. Also, we have a feature which allows you to pay fees in any tokens which are listed in at Basilisk or Hydra. So then these marketplaces or artists, they can choose like in what currency do they want to pay, do they want to be paid. Also, if some of these marketplaces or NFT use cases has their own utility token or governance token or something which is needed against like Sibyl attacks or which is needed to pay fees, we can provide them this service on backend so users can pay in stable coins, and Snack or Hydra will do the exchange on needed currency at the backend for users and for the platforms as well. So we are more like just showing what is possible to do, and other teams can use it without building everything by themselves, and they can focus just on their NFT products. It doesn't need to be like artistic NFTs. It could be like any kind of NFTs and more exciting use cases for them.
Sweet. No, that sounds cool. That sounds very cool. And how like big is the Smart Boy stuff going to be? Honestly, that's most of the questions are about Smart Boy. I think that's what everybody's been asking me to ask. Like, is that going to be quite a limited thing, or do you think most of the degen snakes will be able to have their own hoodies?
Yeah, hoodies will be more than pants. I don't remember the number from top of my head if it's just 50 or 100. Hoodies will be a little bit more. Yeah, so pants will have the highest rarity, but also there will be some kind of hoodies which won't be NFT, I think, or not, or is just there like one kind of hoodies.
Right now we have only NFT hoodies, I think.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you want some merch, then maybe do more community push, so that we know that there is the interest.
Actually I saw in some channel people asking for merch store of Hydra and Basilisk.
Yeah, the people want the shorts, man. The short shorts. But okay. On to the next one was has anybody reached out to you guys to talk about doing an LBP? Like, have you guys spoken to any teams that would want to use the LBP once it's opened up to just to not just the snake?
Yes, yes. Some of them are parachain teams, some of them are DApp teams, but you you see that there are some like ecosystem obstacles which need to be solved. Then we will go we will want to go through the example, and then we can offer it or then we can make it available for other teams.
Oh, cool. And then, and is there any more on the like with the Angular stuff? Like, you guys still think that will be sort of Q4 that you're working with them too on rolling that stuff out?
Yes, but we also a little bit lower down our internal requirements, like for example with coming up with some breakthrough tokenomics and token utility that will come later. So the like first version of token will be just like pure governance token for the like making changes within in the protocol, and then more exciting stuff or more creative stuff will come later. I was also doing some research on all of these money markets in crypto, and like it's hard to compare. Like none of them are really like very similar to Angular, as Angular will be like it can be pure deganism, so there will be a lot of like
I'm bullish.
new tokens and shitcoins and stuff. So then you can't really copy the, for example, the security module of Aave and other. So yeah, that will be kind of different. I was also researching where to apply the protocol fee, how to position liquidity mining in favor if borrowers or lenders who are like more important for the protocol. I was also heavy user of Anchor, and Anchor was suffering via too high liquidity mining rewards, which also leads to uh, to heavy borrowing, and then dumping of ANC token, and the ANC community wasn't like super happy about it. But then they adjusted it to something much more reasonable, and now it's working, and now it's also producing some nice cash flow. So for protocol, or at least it's starting. So yeah, we are looking at these other, I don't want to say competitors, but these other like alternative or a little bit similar products to find best properties for Angular.
And to be fair, yeah, that makes me think, because obviously in the Lisbon video we saw a bit more detail about the liquidity mining rewards on Basilisk, and I've noticed that in the Discord chat, like a few times it's been brought up, like the examples from Ohm, or from Olympus DAO, or from like these other new protocols that are doing like protocol owned liquidity. And I was just curious, like considering people keep mentioning that, do you think like the vested like longer term liquidity rewards is enough for the Basilisk to, or do you think at some point you'd need to shift to like one of these protocol owned liquidity, or how do you sort of see that?
This is a good question, but there is no clear answer for it yet, because the the protocol on liquidity is like a very fundamental concept of Hydra. Basically, whole Hydra is working like that, because all HDX liquidity is owned by protocol, and it's basically its holders. Also, the assets which are gathered via buying HDX, or because when you buy, for example, HDX with Bitcoin or ETH, these assets will basically become as a property of Hydra, and it will start to provide liquidity in these assets in pool as well, and earning more fees on it. So this like protocol on liquidity is very fundamental to Hydra, but it a little bit different sense than in Olympus, and we are also looking at like what we can learn from it. Like Zeus is our friend. Like we really like Olympus. I think it's very obvious who is following us on Twitter. Basilisk is kind of different. Basilisk is kind of different animal, but these bonds, I think they are open. It's their possible utilities are still not discovered or or used enough in other use cases. Also, what could work better, actually, as I'm thinking about it, would be the pricing bonds because bonds price didn't match, at least on the Ethereum layer 1, isn't matched very well the current prices and stuff. So that could be done on Basilisk kind of better.
And yeah, I guess everybody knows the Z Prime is in Olympus, so I guess that's why the question keeps coming up. But no, that's interesting to hear. And there was another question really on like for newer teams doing the LBPs, like how do you see that evolving? Like obviously we're seeing the crazy thing like recently where like it's 200,000 KSM to get a parachain, but like do you think realistically in 6 months, a year's time, like it might be the common thing for teams to raise funds through an LBP on Basilisk? Like is that a big thing you could see like becoming the norm or?
Yeah, especially when Angular will come live. I don't know if you catch it. I don't know. I don't actually remember if it was mentioned in Lisbon even, but it was definitely mentioned on our Angular AMA that we basically realized that projects who need to bootstrap liquidity on Basilisk, Angular or other sources of capital can provide them this stablecoin liquidity in very safe way. That these fees are basically repaid, or this liquidity which is borrowed is basically repaid to lender automatically, or there could be some like time period. So because when we were doing LBP on Ethereum, we needed to pull out our like 1.2 million of DAI which we raised previously. So so that's also not very favoring of much for example anon founders. Like for example, if you have like anon founder, they usually have much bigger problems to raise money from VCs because a lot of VCs are requiring them to go through KYC AML, which is basically very anti-anon. So so it's making anon lives harder. But also if some teams they need to raise basically these funds just to be able to do LBP, and it's similar. And if they are doing listing on Uniswap or elsewhere, which is XYK, which is basically 50-50, it's even like much worse. So yeah, this will enable this new feature will enable to project founders launch LBP basically without any requirements on their own capital, which I think will be really like groundbreaking because it can ignite a start of projects as a real DAOs, so they can basically start as a DAO from the day one, and they don't need to raise funds from VCs.
Oh, that sounds awesome, and I guess that's huge for Basilisk as well, right? Like if that becomes the place, like if Basilisk is where people come to do that, then that's quite a decent amount of liquidity, especially if all the pools stay on Basilisk after. So that sounds
Not
sweet.
sure,
Oh, sorry.
not sure if you saw the Ribbon case where their founders basically not founders
Yeah.
so we see the investors dumped everything at the day one. That's stupid. And also they were utilizing the inside info which they had, and I fear that they invest in so many projects to have just like so much of this like inside info.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like giving teams the ability to like start like that is pretty huge. And sounds. Did they ever reply to your tweet? By the way, I saw that you asked them why they
Oh,
dumped.
but I think I'm not only one who is asking them hard questions. But I was not trolling. I was just really curious, like why on earth why on earth you are accumulating as much of the token where you are as a seed investor and you are dumping it at the first day. Like if they would be just accumulating as much as possible, there will be like information arbitrage. So they knew something which other people don't know, but like it was expected that Ribbon will have their own token and stuff. So many people were using it before knowledge of it, but dumping it at the first day, it's crazy. Like I can't imagine. I would feel stupid like invest somewhere and then dumping it the first day, because it would meant that my investment thesis or my it was like totally wrong, and I don't know what is wrong with Ribbon. Like Ribbon is doing great. Like they are like clear market leader in structured products and options on it. So I don't know. That was no, they didn't respond to me.
Yeah, that was strange, but
And it's just validating the thesis that uh, projects should bootstrap their liquidity and raise more funds from people in like safe way, rather than just going through the VCs. Like how was regulation and these like private sale actually uh, securing or defending their community? no, there was no protection for later investors. Actually, that just makes much worse.
exactly. See, Basilisk is going to save crypto. It's going to make
I,
it
I
decent.
hope I hope the same as DYDX basically didn't allow to claim US people their airdrops, and that airdrops was like super valuable. I think it was in some cases it was something like $80,000 or something like that, and it's really like life-changing money for many people. So SEC basically protect them to make it. That's crazy.
Gary Gensler, man, it's Gary. It's good old Gary. But and obviously for the LBP, it's 5% of Basilisk supply, right? Like, is that I can't remember if that was ever written, but that was one of the questions. Like, is that going to the treasury for like future parachain leasing, or like what will happen to the funds from the LBP event on Basilisk?
Yeah, that will be no, that will be just used as a liquidity for BSX, and then when we will need to renew the slot, we will see how much of it can we use for it. But it will stay there. It will stay there as long as possible.
Okay,
And
cool.
it will all be due to governance voting. By the time we hope that the governance will be completely decentralized. So, yeah, people will decide what to do. But I think having liquidity is important, so people can actually like get the tokens, use the tokens, and trade and use it for buying JPEGs or stuff.
Okay, cool. And on governance, there was a question like, will it always remain just like the Hydra council going forward, or will there ever be like a separate council for Basilisk and Hydra, or will it always? I mean, I know you're just one team, but like, will the governance always just be like one from
No,
the Hydra perspective, or is that going to stay like that, or?
no, it's gonna be completely different, and I'm not sure about the council for the long term. I mean, it's nice to have people uh, that represent some voice, and are actually more, maybe more educated than some other people that take place in the discussion, and people trust them to do good decisions. But it's also not that decentralized, so we don't know yet how it will look like, but we are looking into different ways of voting and governance, and maybe governance over some small parts of the protocol, like inclusion of new assets, should maybe be governed by different type of people, maybe the liquidity providers. And yeah, so it's very complicated and it will change probably, but and it will be separate for Basilisk and for Hydra. So
Okay, cool. Because I don't think we've heard that before. So it's like, is that something you guys are working on and we'll hear more of soon, I guess? Or
Yeah, that's the biggest issue from us, that sometimes we think about some things that they are like totally obvious, but but maybe they aren't, or just people need to have them confirmed because they don't see to our heads. Yeah, yeah, I would be super happy if Basilisk will have like totally different team and different governance, uh, and it will be separated, but still there will be like a very tight relationship. But it was never planned to like control two parachains and stuff. No.
so there was never a plan to be like, so we're pretty small team, and I think we're doing really good. We need few more people, but there was never a plan to have huge corporation internally to work on these projects. We want to decentralize everything, even the development, as soon as possible. The hydration was that effort, and it still is, but it it takes a long time. And actually, a part of my talk was about that from Lisbon, that we need to make the experience for developers better, to be able to get more people in on board to build these things with us, and yeah, to actually get more talent, because the pool of people that can actually do this is not really big. So we first maybe need to teach some people, um, and then they can help us build it.
No, that's interesting to hear. And I guess like that's the whole thing with KSM dot now. But no, I guess nobody really knows like how the two are going to evolve, like until it happens. I guess so. Especially I guess by the time Hydra's up and running, I guess Basilisk is already going to be causing chaos. So that will be fun. That will be fun to see. You know, it's not so much the little brother at that point, I guess, but to be fair, we've
Yeah.
gone through most of the questions. There's a few more left, but we've done pretty much all the exciting ones. There was a few more just on the snapshots of the Hydra DX and also the Hydra DX for the Basilisk crowd learners and the Basilisk rewards for the Hydra people. So have like what's the status of the snapshots for those?
As we yeah, so the Basilisk for Hydra people was will be like, we said that it was from block 2 million, I think. So that's it. And the other, like the opposite side, Hydra for Basilisk crowd loan people, that actually was calculated during the crowd loan itself. So it was you had the full HDX bonus of the opportunity cost if you contributed when we were losing. So that was most of the time until the last auction, and then it dropped to 5% of the opportunity cost, and we still need to decide on the final price of the Kusama. Like if it's I think it should be. I think this we could also do a vote. So if it should be the first price of when the crowd loan started, or some medium price, or the last price, or
Right.
what?
So this is for the price, the LBP starting price. You mean, right?
Okay, no, so LBP starting
sorry.
price. I meant like the crowd loaner rewards for HDX.
Okay, for the staking opportunity cost.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean. Sorry. And then, I mean, I guess I just asked it already, but one more thing to ask you guys was what is the methodology for the LBP starting price? Because I remember it was mentioned like it was on the staking rate of the notional that was put in the crowd loan, but like, have you guys decided on a formula for that or?
It's always it always probably should be higher than you expect and wait it to drop. And as soon as people start buying, mm, the price will start to stabilize. So it shouldn't be worth to ape in the beginning. And it's best wait a little bit. The price will probably be several times higher than the expected price that we want to end up at.
Don't know, man.
But
You're underestimating how degen we all are.
yes, so we are thinking about some possible amendments to that. Maybe increase the price dropping speed at the beginning, so that when people start to ape in, it won't increase the price as much. But yeah, this is still, we're still modeling the exact numbers.
Okay, fair enough. And pretty much, I think the final question I have on here is, will there be staking for Basilisk holders, or is it just going to be pretty much the LP pools?
Excuse me, the last snack related, right?
Yeah, of course we have some big bro questions too.
Yeah, because there are these unresolved Hydra governance questions.
So staking, if we need it, then we'll have it. And that means if we are going to use some off-chain values, then we'll need some form of staking. It wouldn't necessarily be as rewarding as it is currently in Hydra, but it will be just to have some bond, so that we know that the data you are providing us are right, and if not, then we can slash the bond. So this, like, proof of stake itself doesn't make as big sense if we are not using it for some use case, because we are receiving the shared security from the relay chain. So we can use something much more simpler and just pay collators for constructing the blocks, some smaller amount, because they are not like really securing the chain. They are just providing liveness.
Okay, fair enough. That makes sense. And yeah, sorry, that pretty much covers every question we had for the Basilisk side of things. So I guess if anybody has can think of any more questions that weren't covered, then I guess after the next part we can have the community questions if there is anything left. But yeah, the next ones are pretty much just on the pending Hydra topics. So the first one's pretty much the compensation for people who couldn't stake because of regenesis. If you guys could chat about that.
Actually, I would like to hear thoughts from community instead of like me telling my feedback or my thoughts about it.
Okay,
I think we have already some proposals, and all of them are fine. I think we should compensate for not being able to stake. It's just a question of how much. I think it would be unfair if we overcompensated, because people were watching the validators said nominating and doing stuff actively, and it should be just fair. But all,
But it's
almost
tricky.
all of the proposals that are there are like fine, I think. We just need to select one.
And for the Hydra Council itself, is that obviously? I think we all saw the elections were a week or two ago, but how is that going with the first phases of that?
Well, actually, the council does the job. The payouts from the treasury for stuff being done, and actually people locking themselves because of the bad UX of the Polkadot.js is being like done all the time. So the council is working. Also, slashes were cancelled by the council. We just need a better way to maybe discuss, maybe have better channels, or maybe some forum or something like that with pre-votes to be able to do the decisions in a better way. Because the problem right now is that we have just one Discord channel where things get lost because there is too much stuff going on. So some forum or something like that will be necessary, I think.
Because originally you were using Commonwealth, or is that like not for that? Or
Yes, but we had a lot of trouble with it, and
It's
yeah,
it's not working as was expected. It also it lost it cost us a lot of time to launch it even before back in the May or April because we were waiting infinite time on tips functionality, so we could do the tips directly from there, and it's still not not there yet. So we are just using it as forum. So I get an idea, like what if we can use subsocial? What if instead of it we can use subsocial, because they have new feature which is called, I think, subspace or sub ID. I have to check it. I forgot. Sorry, but yeah, the subsocial team, they are super knowledgeable about substrate and development there. So I would like to go with them, or at least try them. There is actually more projects looking for the same functionality for governance as we have. I don't know if any of you is using subsocial.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I use it sometimes, but there's also one of the main community guys, Young Beef. He's not listening today, which I'll tell him off for, but he's quite active. So yeah, maybe he'd be happy to try and his job's to get everybody on subsocial. So I'm sure he'd be happy to speak to the Snake and Hydra to sort that out.
actually,
We were all
I
speaking yet.
oh sorry. Actually, I was looking at Subsocial last week because of this, I think. And I think they have some airdrop today. So if you're listening right now, maybe you'll be able to grab something and tell us.
Man, now everyone's going to leave the AMA. No one's going to listen now.
After.
And then the next Hydra question was on malicious and scam validators. How is the best way to handle these?
That's the tricky
Um,
part. Like, what's the best way to handle it? Like, we internally discuss it a lot, and I kind I a little bit change my mind on this, but I also don't want to uh, have my feedback on this topic as a canonical, I would just say that from one point of view, taking them all HDX or their earnings looks to me a little bit like socialist revolution. On the other hand, that was like the first that was just the first feedback when I saw these kind of ideas. Like, oh my god! But then when I was thinking about it a little bit more, then I realized that what if it will release a strong signal that you shouldn't try to fuck with a Hydra community and Snack. Uh, so maybe it will be cool. Maybe it will look the strong of community. I don't know. But on the other hand, there is also right that people shouldn't consider staking as like some passive income, but really like taking care about it. But I know that for a lot of them it's not practical, but still there is no free lunch, and it's also like quite positive signal that there are people trying to game our incentivized testnet as much as possible, because they probably see the value in HDX or future value. So
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
so both the reactions of both sides or behavior of both sides on in this case is I would say positive in this, but I just really don't have any decision or conclusion like what is better or not. I would like to like abstain from voting for this, and I would let the community vote for the outcome which they want to see.
I don't know. It's kind of very hard to take sides. It's quite. I think it's quite dangerous if we start taking people's money. Like they used a smart way to exploit, or not necessarily exploit. They used mechanisms that are there, and the people that were nominating couldn't see that they won't get any tokens. But once we realized that this is happening, we started posting in every, like, guys from community like Fig and Dan and others were posting everywhere. Miroslav made a dashboard where you could see everything, like if you could see these validators as scammy. And we were always saying that the nomination is active act of protecting the chain. So these people who nominated these scammy validators, as you could say, actively discourage everything that we said to them to not do it. So yes, I think it's bad that they were able to do it for so long, and they shouldn't be able to do it. And for my thinking is that we should prevent this with with better user experiences. For example, like Miroslav dashboard, and use that instead of Polkadot.js because it doesn't show what's happening really. But I'm not sure about messing with the balances of people on the chain. If people decide that that's what they want to do, then okay. I probably won't vote also. I just wanted to say that it's quite dangerous to set these precedents. I mean, if it was some real hack that we wouldn't know about, I would be in for taking back. But I'm not sure. We are in the testnet phase. It's still a real value, but why we do it. Like we want to find as much as possible before we launch the real trading and everything. Because once we are cross-chain and there is everybody trading with everything, it's really hard to revert anything. So I think we should set better bounty programs and give better rewards so people will not try to scam, but just try to expose the issues before. But yeah, it's very hard question. I think that's I'm torn on that also.
So what do you think, or what everyone else thinks? Like, feel free to raise a hand.
Yeah, and to be honest, that was the final question. So if anyone wants to reply to the staking issue or even any more questions in general, now is
I had another question actually. Maybe you miss it.
What was it?
sorry, yes, on the triple in of the should the triple in of HydraDX should that apply to the Vestin as well, or like for or
Yes. Yes, I would be also. I would be also very keen to hear feedback from people on this, because when we get the idea for the tripling, it was actually at first just doubling. But then when I was like thinking more and more about it, I realized that the tripling would have like much stronger effect, and will create the potential for the real decentralized governance, because then community will have the same amount as we have, as founders and investors have, but or even actually a little bit slightly more. So then the tripling was no brainer, and was fighting for it really hard to do the tripling. But it's also, but I was thinking a little bit more, and I was curious, like, what if the same as the same as investors and everybody else has vesting, if we shouldn't apply some kind of vesting for these like bonus tokens with which nobody was counting, really. Like, what do you think, or what everybody else think about this? It doesn't need to happen, but maybe it would be fair, or I don't know, or maybe it would be something reasonable.
no, that's a good point for everyone to think about, I guess. And I mean, in terms of vesting, what did you have in mind, like a length that you thought would be reasonable, like at least in your opinion, or?
I don't know, some like 6 to 12 months, still much more shorter than investors and team. Because actually, I don't know if you remember, but we even prolonged the vesting of investors and us after LBP. So it was 18 months investors and 24 team, with 6-month cliff for team, and then we prolonged it for another 6 months for both investors and team. So that's currently 24 months from start of the chain, and 30 months.
And has there been anything that's been changed on the triple in of HDX, like in terms of the Basilisk contributors? Like, will that change anything for? Because obviously there was the rewards for the Basilisk crowd loan. Like, will the contributors for that just see 3 times the amount of HDX as a reward now, or like has anything changed for that part? Or?
Mm, I don't like. We didn't change anything, I think so.
Okay, cool. No, it's just another question that popped up from somebody on the Basilisk side. If that was just a simple tripling of the amounts that would have been expected from that.
The snapshot happened and the tripling didn't happen yet, actually.
Okay, that's cool then. I think other than that, if there's no other questions from the audience, or if you guys, is there anything else that you guys wanted to go over?
No, that was mostly all, and maybe it should be breaked. Maybe it should be split to Basilisk community calls and Hydra, because I fear that we throw too much of info and issues and updates on people. It's almost more than one and a half hours, and it's hard to focus on one topic and go through it. So maybe we should split it on Slack calls and Hydra calls.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we are in the HydraDX server as well, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. Like poor snacks.
Plus, exactly. With this, you don't love the snakes or something, man?
And also many snack charmers. They don't have much HDX, or they didn't were even like aware of Hydra before. So also there is the community is a little bit different, so it's not one to one.
Yeah, no, that's probably a good idea going forward, I guess. Like considering, I guess 95% of this was about the snake.
Yes, a huge part, but still, these governance issues within the Hydra should be resolved. What do you think about these malicious validators? Size them, everything, or leave it there, or what's your
Me?
opinion?
You're asking me, or?
Yes.
To be honest, like I'm too much of a snake degen. Like I've been following the Hydra validators, but not in that much detail. So I'm kind of I don't want to give too much of an opinion on that side of things because it's I'm too much of a Basilisk degen, which sounds funny to say, but
Or maybe Greta has any opinion about these
yeah,
like
we have.
greedy capitalistic validators.
You make a fair point there. Like it's that
What?
like you can't do anything with the tokens, right? So at least it shows that people see the value in actually trying to exploit it, right? Like that's at least the silver lining of yeah, it's a tough one because like you say, it's still the incentivized testnet. It's tricky.
But on the other hand, people are really protective against their missing rewards, which is good. And maybe that would be nice to send a message that don't try to fuck with them, don't try to fuck with HDX holders.
No, I like sending that message, especially don't fuck with the ones that wearing shorts as well.
And who are wearing smart boy pants.
Exactly. That's a dangerous combination. You don't want to mess with that.
Oh, there's a request.
He's back. Hey.
Oh yes. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But I haven't been following the validator thing too closely, but it sounds like we actually do want them to fuck with us during the test net. It's much better that it happened now than anywhere else, right? Because I get what you're saying about like sending this message, but if there was any time in which people should be doing aggressive behavior, we want it to be as aggressive as possible in the test net.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you got it. That was the whole purpose of
Good to
testnet.
send this. I don't think it's good to send too aggressive of a signal to people who were playing the game where it was supposed to be played. We want people to be maybe extra excited to be aggressive in the testnet.
Yeah,
Um,
I like the
yeah,
spirit.
yeah, I like it too. But I mean, like, they didn't expose it as they should. Like, they maybe should say that, hey, there is this issue. Close it. We would have given them a reward, and it would be cool. But they didn't,
And
so they
well,
just were hiding. So it's hard.
hiding in yes, hiding in the testnet though. So I understand what you're saying about they didn't say, oh look, we found this problem, because they were trying to exploit it, which makes sense. But yes, I see why it's a difficult problem. But I do think that ensuring that people understand that aggressiveness here is much more acceptable than anywhere else.
I agree. I agree. That's why I'm torn on this, and I wouldn't. I personally, if it was up to me, I wouldn't take anything back. But I completely get all the other points, and I think we'll see what's the consensus of the community. So there are very different opinions. All of them are valid, and this is nice actually. Yeah. So we'll see real decentralized decision making, I think, soon.
No, it will be interesting to see what the vote result would be for that.
So if anyone doesn't have any point or any feedback or something to raise or ask, I would say it was enough for today, and we'll try to make some other AMA sooner. We'll see. We'll see what this week will bring. I hope we will see green light on dramatically lowering KSM bonds for the channels between parachains, and some nice timeline for the testing of features.
And do you think, like, so I guess just to kind of wrap up, like, you guys have sort of said 3 to 4 weeks is realistic for the LBP, and over that time you hope there's some traction on improving the KUSD side of things, like, which hopefully can be driven from the community. And I guess you guys plan on just keeping like the community calls on a regular basis and just updating as we go, I guess.
Yeah, it has to. Yeah, it has to go everything in parallel. Yeah, everything has to happen together.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so I guess everybody could just expect updates whenever they come, and everybody should have a bit more clarity on how long things should take from here. So
I would encourage everybody to join the discussions in the governance, even if they are similar to something that was posted. We'd like to see more voices and opinions, because we don't want this to be like, we don't want to be the rulers, dictators. We have our opinions. We know the roadmap. We will choose something that we think is best for the chain always and for the community, but we are not knowing it all, and everybody might have different opinions which are valid and we don't see them. So I encourage everybody to say something if they have any opinion about it.
Also after tripling the community, we'll get basically bigger governance power than we have. So right time to start to be more active. Also, as Polkadot parachains are coming soon, I think we will see them. I think we will see first auctions before end of the year.
and for like people that want to get involved, should, like, even if it's for Basilisk like governance stuff, should they put it in like the Basilisk Discord or the Hydra Discord or the hydration disc? Like where should like
The Basilisk Discord. Do we have governance? Governance threads? Oh, not yet. So yeah, we will need to create them. Yeah, for the snack, definitely in the snack Discord.
and I see we've even got a good morning chat. We've got a good morning thread in Basilisk now, so you see.
Yeah, we need governance. We need governance. We had good morning. Now is the time.
Okay, sweet. I mean, if nobody else wants to come to the stage, I think you guys have done. You've answered everything.
Oh, I
And-
thought it's gonna make it channel, not
No,
good
man,
morning.
it's the good morning. See, you've not even been in there. You need to
Because
join.
I thought it's gonna make it, and everybody like the crypto Twitter was already quite cringy with it, but and also I'm not a morning person. That's why I was missing it. Maybe I should maybe I should post it good morning when I'm going to sleep, because it's usually at morning.
Man, it's post good morning in that channel as many times as you like.
I see. People are crazy.
See, man,
Okay.
the snake is where the DJs are.
Pure degenism. Okay, so thanks you everyone for coming on this lovely Sunday evening, or whatever, or whenever is it for you. Looking forward to hear you more and soon. And please think about all points we went through today, and post your points in related channels. So thank you everyone. Thanks Marmite for great moderation again.
Thanks for having me, and thank you guys. I learned a lot tonight, so it's always good to hear you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. See you.
Ciao. Ciao.